I've never played a Souls game. That changes today. I'm going to platinum Bloodborne. In order to get this platinum, I need to clear every boss tied to trophies, finish the chalice dungeons, pick up missing items and weapons, and then finally complete the 3 different endings. It's not that simple though. The game has a 7 out of 10 difficulty, and with my lack of experience it certainly felt like it. The journey starts in Central Yharnam with blood gem contact for picking up a blood gem dropped by an enemy. I've added a death counter to show you just how bad I was when I started this platinum journey, but I died 30 times on my way to the boss and during the fight, but I managed to take down my first boss for a trophy. I was slowly getting better and I died only 3 times on my way to the next boss, but taking down my first mandatory boss of the game, Father Gascoigne, unlocked another trophy. Most of my deaths in this game came from random enemies while exploring, but the stress is worth it. It feels so rewarding to finally find the right area and the location of the next boss. Taking down Vicar Amelia is how I got my 4th trophy. At this stage I pretty much sucked at parrying and dodging, so balancing the poison from the blood-starved beast alongside his normal attacks was very hard. But I needed to kill him for a trophy and a chalice that I would need later, so I had to simply get good. This next boss, the Witch of Hemwick, was quite interesting. It is basically invisible until you're near and summons other enemies to fight for it, and it has a second stage that involves 2 of them. I basically just ran around and bonked the witch whenever I could find it. This probably sums up my entire Bloodborne career up until this point. The enemy is on 1 HP and stuck in a corner and a heavy attack in the wrong direction and fumble the bag. He promptly spanks my bottom and sends me to bed for doing that. Anyway, after killing him I'm given a rune. These are basically little upgrades that you can use for your character throughout the game. My next boss was some kind of large undead beast that conducts electricity. I was so close to defeating it I could almost taste it. Sadly it wasn't meant to be just yet. I'd like to tell you it was smooth sailing from here, but I would die 53 more times before my next trophy, bringing my total deaths up to 152. I wasn't giving up, but sometimes I couldn't even get back to the boss without dying. I was playing that poorly. One does not simply take a break though. I wasn't about to take death 153 though, and the NPC landed the killing blow on the beast for me. This next boss fight is 3 enemies you have to take down in one fight, and for some reason my PS4 didn't record the fight, so here's some footage from me beating them in New Game Plus. But this fight on my first playthrough gave me a trophy for beating them anyway. I realise without the footage I can't see how many times I died before this trophy, but we'll give it a modest plus 10 and move on. The next trophy isn't actually boss related, but I tried to open a door and was picked up by a creature known as the Amygdala. It didn't actually kill me and instead transported me to a location called the Nightmare Lecture Building. I hadn't planned for this trophy, but it unlocked me a trophy anyway. I'll admit it took me longer than I would like to admit to find out where to go next, but you basically have to jump off this balcony into the Moonside Lake to fight the next boss. Thankfully it's one of the more easier bosses in the game, and it's a large spider called Rom that summons smaller spiders to defend it. In the first stage it does not attack you directly and only the spiders will attempt to attack you. However, in the second stage and third stage Rom does his own attacks too, but he's not very mobile, so it is an easy kill. If you're wondering how I die so much while searching for the next boss fight, here's an example of my skill in this game. At this point I'd passed the 200 death marks, and the next boss is essentially just a bunch of human body parts together to form one creature that I could not beat. Basically in Bloodborne you have stats that you can increase using currency, and you can pretty much just either spend a lot of time learning attack patterns or hit the gym and increase your stats so you don't need to worry about that dodging mumbo jumbo. Which is exactly what I did. I basically upgraded my health and strength as much as I could be bothered to, and now armed with a character strong enough to take on my wife's boyfriend, it was time to get back to trophies. The rematch with the boss went significantly better and we were able to take him down in the first try, giving me the next trophy. The next boss is called Mikolash. He has 2 phases, and in the first phase he has 1 single attack to avoid. Once he's low enough he will run away and enter his second phase of the boss fight. Both his phases can be beat by simply wailing on him as much as possible to stop him attacking. He's one of the only bosses I managed to kill first try. It's worth mentioning, to get a certain ending in the game you are required to pick up specific items before the end of the game, and killing this woman gives me one of the items I'm looking for. It just basically saves me time in New Game Plus. But anyway, we end up riding a carriage to the next location, unlocking another trophy for arriving at Cainhurst Castle. At the top of the castle on the roof we get to fight the Ice King from Adventure Time. I didn't manage to do it first try, but he's simple enough with some well-timed parries and I was able to take him down easily, unlocking the next trophy. Up next is one of the Amygdala creatures. My plan for this fight was to wait until it drops its head after attacking and chop it down. It does have a cool second phase that uses its own ripped off arms as weapons to extend its range, but being patient and waiting for it to expose its head worked quite well. We actually get another trophy here too for picking up the chalice that the boss dropped. Shortly after, while on my travels, I also unlocked the choir trophy for entering the upper cathedral ward. Now this may be the easiest boss in the whole game, literally the whole fight lasted 31 seconds. I'm not complaining though, as it unlocked a trophy, and it dropped an extremely precious rune for another trophy. There's a secret passage right next to this boss behind the glass. This leads to another boss. Again, this one is simple and just attacking it from behind worked well. However, for the first and last time in this video, I die at the same time as the boss. It still counts though, thankfully, and 2 trophies pop for defeating the boss and picking up a chalice. Finally, we meet Murgo's wet nurse. This is actually the last boss I need to fight for this section of the game, and like the last boss, it is pretty easy now I'm familiar with the game. I just gave it a bunch of back shots until it was low and finished it off. Murgo was the last trophy I needed before I could start cleaning up some of the trophies I haven't done before New Game Plus. This cleanup starts with discovering an old abandoned workshop, followed by finding every hunter tool. These are basically special items that you can use during the game, and then finally upgrading my weapon to max level. Oh boy, did I underestimate the next trophy for killing the final boss in the Chalice dungeons. There are 6 Chalice dungeons required to get to the boss for the trophy. Each floor in each dungeon consists of finding a key to unlock the area that holds the boss and defeating the boss to progress to the next floor of that dungeon. And the dungeons have 3 layers before you can move on to the next dungeon, so it isn't a short grind. Not to mention that doesn't include the time spent stuck on each boss trying to progress to the next floor. The only saving grace of this whole Chalice dungeon is the fact that one of the bosses dropped a precious gem that I was looking for a trophy. After maybe 8 to 10 hours of grinding and over 100 deaths later, I arrive at the final boss for the trophy. The worst part of this whole grind is the fact that the final boss is 10 times easier than the ones you have to fight to get here. She has very easy attacks to avoid, and in her second stage she summons some clones, but once you kill them you can just go back to fighting her, and it's quite an easy fight compared to the last ones. After killing her and unlocking the trophy for the Chalice dungeons, I'm telling you, I'm never playing these Chalice dungeons ever again. From here onwards is story spoilers, but first we need to fight Gehrman because we select the option to refuse to submit to him. Before doing that though, I consume the 3 cards I have collected throughout the game. This is important as it allows me to access the third ending in my first playthrough. This just means I won't have to collect the cards again in New Game Plus, so I'm going to do this ending first. Now we refuse to submit our life to him and we have to fight him because of this. The fight itself isn't too difficult compared to what we've been through to get here, but by consuming the 3 cards it alters the ending we would get. After killing him, the Moon Presence descends upon us, grabbing the Hunter. However, the 3 cards grants the Hunter the power to resist the Moon Presence. This means we have to fight the Moon Presence. Again, the fight isn't very difficult and I managed to defeat this boss first try, and this is the very last boss I needed to kill before we can enter New Game Plus. After that, a cutscene plays showing that the Hunter is now transformed into an infant Great One. These are basically a race of powerful entities, but anyway, it gives me the trophy for this ending. Back in New Game Plus, I pick up the final weapon I'm missing to get the trophy for collecting all weapons. This weapon is tied to New Game Plus, so I couldn't get it before. After refusing his offer and fighting Gehrman again, the Moon Presence grabs us, but without consuming the 3 cards we cannot resist it. We're now trapped carrying out Gehrman's role in the new hunt, giving me another trophy. After playing through the story a 3rd time, the last thing left to do is submit our life. Doing so unlocks the last trophy I need for the platinum, and is quite a cool cutscene to watch. As the sun rises in Yharnam, we get the final trophy before unlocking the platinum trophy. I died 399 times to get the Bloodborne Platinum Trophy. Please let me know what you'd like to see next. Thank you for watching.